So if you were here yesterday, we talked about Fent guide and creating waylines. We mostly talked about AB lines, which is by far the most common type of wayline. But there are times when you want to create other sorts of waylines as well. So I'll just briefly show you some of those things. So here, if we have a field loaded, and if you want to create a new wayline, it happens on the right-hand side here. So add new wayline. So there's a bunch of different types here. And this afternoon, we're gonna have a session on Contour Assistant, which is an optional unlock. So there's a couple different wayline types here associated with Contour Assistant. So I'll skip those. Obviously, AB is the most common one that you're going to use. Everyone knows how to do that. A plus angle is another wayline type that gets used some, or you might at least find it useful to know how to use it. So with an A plus angle, it's going to load that. Basically, what you're doing is you're taking the heading, you're taking a heading direction in degrees. And when you initiate a wayline like this, get this pop up, and it shows the current heading of the tractor, 183 point some odd degrees. And if I change, then that heading will change. You can also clear that out. Tap the check mark, and you can see this red line here. So it's heading out 50 degrees from where my tractor is sitting. So that's the angle, and then the other thing, and it actually shows the angle here, 50 degrees. And then all you got to do is tap the A point, and it asks if you want to save the wayline. Yes, I do want to save it. And we've got our 50-degree angle line. So that can be useful, maybe especially if you're running a mixed fleet, or if you just want an easy way to run the same angle in more than one tractor, and especially if it's a different brand of tractor, and it's not as easy as just simply moving lines from one to the other. You can, if maybe you're hauling manure with your neighbor and he has a wayline, and he's running at 50 degrees, you can come in here and you can create a wayline and run on the exact same angle. If you are the one that has created this wayline, even if it's an AB line, let's load one of these others. The information box right here shows all the details of a specific wayline, the wayline that you currently have loaded. So we have our A and our B coordinates, and then down here we have the heading. So that is there's the heading in degrees. So again, if you're running a couple different tractors and you want to maybe make an AB or an A plus angle line in a different tractor or in your neighbor's tractor, you would simply give them this heading direction, and then they can create an A plus angle that matches the line that you're running. So it's just a simple way to have multiple machines running on the same angle. Another wayline type that might get used is contour. If you've got a field that has no straight sides and you don't care about having straight sides, you can simply record a contour. So simply hit record, and as you drive along, there's a wayline that gets recorded wherever you go, and just keep recording until you get to the other end or whatever. Hit the stop button, save the wayline, and now we've got our contour line. So again, probably not as common, but there are some use cases for it. We can also do adaptive contour, which is basically based on coverage. We can make a wayline or whenever we're recording coverage, there will be a wayline snapped right beside that. So again, it's contoured, it's not straight. Some use cases for it. Pivot, we don't really use that around here. And you can also enter a wayline manually, enter all the coordinates manually, which again probably doesn't get used very much. I should also point out the locations of interest. So sometimes you've got an obstacle in the field that you want to go around. Maybe there's a wet hole or a big stone or something like that. So there's different types of locations of interest that you can mark in the field. You can do a point. If it's just a big stone, I think some of you have big stones in your fields. Maybe you want to just be careful that you don't hit it next time you come. You could drop a point. You could call that big stone, and it's just simply a point, and you can record that either on the right side of the implement, in the middle of the tractor, or on the right. And I could just record it and save it. I'm not going to bother doing it, but or an area, pretty much like recording a boundary. If there's an area in the middle of the field, like a wet hole or something like that you want to exclude, you could, just like recording a boundary, you can record either based on the tractor or the implement's location. You pick the implement and then select the right or the left side, and just simply circle around the area and create an exclusion zone. Or if you've got a water ditch or something like that, you do a line, and you do that all the way across the field. And we've got these markers as well, flags. You could drop different colored flags, different places in the field. I don't know, maybe you were out in the field and you found this really nice set of antlers. You could just simply drop a flag there. I don't really know why this would happen, but let's just say it would. And you could drop a flag, and then we've got this flag in the field that says antlers. So you want to come back, or you want your son to come back later because you know he likes collecting antlers. It's just a way to remember the location. Okay, that's pretty much all I have, unless there's some other questions. Anything else that could be cleared up yet?
Does anybody have questions that you want to ask Ryan while he's out in the cab? Yeah, we got one here.
If you're recording a contour wayline, does it record frames like, sorry, a certain amount of frames per second, or is it maybe a frame every 3 feet? And if you slow down, does it make a more like accurate turn that you have less kind of lurches as you go around the corner?
That's a good question. I'm just moving here so the garbage truck doesn't back into me. But maybe Robert Farnham can answer that question.
I would have to double check, but I believe that it's taking frame every so many seconds. I don't think it's actually going to make a large difference whether you slow down or speed up, because it's recording kind of seconds. So theoretically in a second, if you're going faster, you would drive more feet, obviously, by going faster, but it's very minimal increment difference between, let's say, 3 miles an hour and 6 miles an hour. Your mathematicians in the room, you can calculate how many difference in feet that is, but 43,568.
Does that clarify it for you? All right, and then we had another one here.
Is there a way to get those flags onto your phone so you can go back and get those antlers without the tractor?
That is a great question. I'm just going to assume that your son would like to go for a tractor ride when he goes to find the antlers. Yeah, there is not really an easy way to do that. No, other than maybe go to the full screen map and take a picture of it, and you can roughly have an idea where it is.
Any other questions?
Ryan, this is Robert. Go in the, I guess the question would be where, if you want to do manual turn assistant, instead of the full sequence, we talked about teaching headland before. What would that icon look like? What am I looking for? Where do I find that to put the turn in my sequence?
Yeah, that's good. I'll show that. So if I go to the teach-in menu, and let's say I wanted to add it to the sequence 1, go to edit this sequence manually. It'll be here under the guidance section, and it's this little icon here. It's the hand and the turn. So if I would add that into the sequence, then it's going to turn. And again, that could be reordered. It could be wherever you want in the sequence. So yeah, it's a good thing to point out. And Robert, maybe you know of people that do this. Maybe there's a use case where this is more useful than having the entire field set up to turn automatically.
Yeah, you said it earlier, Ryan. It's really where you don't have a boundary, but you still want to take advantage of it, because using the automatic settings requires a boundary, because it enables the turn with the distance or number of passes from your boundary. So if you don't have one of those, it's simply you have to use the manual side. So there's 2 options for it. One, you can put it into part of your original sequence. Other use cases I've seen where guys use it is in their end 2. So simply in the right position for N2, they just simply set their N2 if they're not using it as the turn. So I want to decide when I turn. Ryan showed kind of the icon on the screen where you do it, but obviously with the teach-in sequence here, being able to put it in any one of the sequence, you can set it to that assignment button and just say, I want to turn when I want to turn. So I'll engage my sequence with my end 1, let's say, like I am normally at the end of the field, and then when I decide when I want to turn. Guys like the freedom to be able to do that, so you can put that in a different sequence other than your main one to be able to choose when you want to do it. But those are the 2 main reasons.
Perfect. Anything else? All right. Brent has a couple of words of wisdom for us there, Ryan.
All right.
I forgot to point it out then at the end, but if you do set up the sequence, it's good to save that under a profile so that you don't have to do that every time. You want to just show how to do that?
Yes, for sure. So you should all be using profiles because it does make your life easier. So, and especially if you're using teach-in, because there's a bit of setup involved there. So the profiles are right up here. I've got this Ryan level 2 profile loaded. So let's say I want to create a new profile. So Brent created that teach-in sequence, and we've got hydraulic flow rates and all that associated with it. And so simply tap on the profiles here. And this is a list of all the saved profiles. So I could take those settings and I could overwrite any one of these profiles. I'll just create a new one just to show you how that looks. And let's call this one, let's just call it a demo. And it asks if I want to create a second mode, which is basically 2 profiles in one. I'm not going to do that. Just want to create one profile. And now I've got this demo profile loaded. So all those settings are saved under the demo profile. And if I want to go back to the profile I was under, I just simply load this Ryan level 2. Here shows all the settings that are connected with that profile, and hit the check mark to load it. There's a couple criteria that have to be met. You have to be in neutral. And then we're back to the same profile. Important thing to remember. Thanks for pointing that out, Brent.